All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of X Talks. I guess while we are waiting for a few of our hosts as well as audiences to join, I'll give a short intro as well as a few things that we will be discussing on this episode of X Talks. The first thing I want to remind you all to join the Layer 1 X Discord if you aren't in yet. We have been doing quite a bit of interesting things on there. We have competitions running, some Zeely stuff as well, where you can win exciting rewards. We have our own liquidity bootstrap phase running as well, where you can earn a decent APR on your stables as well as your blue chips like Ethereum. Oh, Mike is here. I'll let him up on the stage. Yeah, and today's topic will be on NFTs and interoperability. So, NFT traders, degens, all the degens out there, this is going to be for you, all of you. And Chief, can you hear me?
Are there yet?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. Good evening. How are you? Or good morning or good afternoon to everybody. How are you today?
Good morning, good
All
morning.
good. The good
So
old
good.
Twitter
How about you,
run.
Mike?
And I think we've got Can there as well. Is that Can or
So it's Lucy.
Lucy? How are you? Good to hear
So
from
great.
you.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, really
It's
good.
likewise.
Really good. And who else we got? I think we've got a couple others coming up as well soon. So maybe we'll let them jump up and say hello as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Chief, I guess we can start off by giving sort of introductions on today's topic, what we will be discussing, questions like that, while we wait for
For
other speakers
sure.
to
Yeah,
join.
we most certainly can do that, Sam. Yeah, definitely. So tonight's X Talk, I think, is pretty exciting. It's around NFTs and interoperability. And interestingly, I was actually talking with a project earlier today in around that particular this topic. And it's probably the third call we've had with them, and they're really starting to hunt us down and wanting to build some stuff. But it's not just NFTs and interoperability, because they've done a lot of work with some of the other chains, and in fact, a lot of bridges. And they had their technical team on today, and it was actually really exciting because I was sitting there talking to them and asking questions, and so they're asking me questions, answering them. And at the end of it, I said, "Well, please, I'm challenging you to come back. I really want some cool questions to that I can't answer." So it was really, really good because they were quite excited about it, to the point that they, like I said, they're chasing us now to get on board. So we're looking forward to what they have to offer, because it's a pretty amazing space, a lot of capability that will really push things forward for Layer 1X. I think we've got a couple that's coming up. We've got Moongate there coming online shortly.
Yeah, Moongate was up on the stage, but for some reason we lost them.
Okay, they're still showing as requested.
Yeah. I have accepted theirs.
Okay, I just did the same, so let's make sure and see how that goes. Because I think we had a couple, didn't we? Okay, hopefully he comes up in a sec. Okay, lots of beeps. Let's see where we go. All right, so
Yeah, go
tonight,
ahead.
what I might do is, whilst we're waiting for the others to come up, the fact that we've got Lucy there, I'm probably going to, I'll open up with a few questions in that area for Lucy, and then as the others join, we can pass the questions on to them as well. But for those of us who don't know, Lucy's from Diga Labs, and obviously building a whole bunch of things in the gaming world, where NFTs and interoperability are going to become key. But rather than me tell you about it, what I'd like to do is ask Lucy to join us and give a little bit of an overview of what you guys are actually building. And obviously, we've got in here, you guys are actually building on Layer 1X, and that's, I think, pretty special. So tell us how you're going with it.
Yeah, sure, Mike. Thank you very much for the question. Let me just briefly introduce myself. I am Lucy.
Sure.
I am business developer. Yeah. I am BD lead at Diga Labs. We have two main projects. One of them called Digart. The other one is Elderun. with the card, we provide Web3 solution for the games, like all the games, but Web2 and Web3 games. With the card, we can launch token NFTs. We can give like we have upgradable NFTs, stakeable NFTs. We have like a rewarding contracts, and also we are working on the like a chain indexer, etc. And also we have NFT marketplace, and we have also like store, the NFT store. We can purchase the NFTs. And what else? We have like a gamer profile, like lots of other stuff, like all the things that you need from the both gamer and the project side. We provide those services.
Yep. Lucy, just for some of our listeners, sometimes we get people on here who may not understand some of the technology. Hopefully, everybody does, but let's assume they don't. So just explain what NFTs are for you guys within Diga, or in fact, within games themselves. Can you just describe to us what they actually are for you?
Yeah, sure. I will give example from the Elder Room. For example, we have champion NFTs. Like basically, they are your characters to play the game. You own the characters like the through the NFTs with the help of NFTs. So the NFTs in our game, NFTs gives you the digital ownership of your character. So with this technology, you are able to trade your assets. You can play with it. You can like get experience. You can like achieve some success and upgrade your cards, and it becomes like valuable. And then you have an ability to sell it, but once it's an NFT.
So effectively, instead of just having a character in a game that doesn't go anywhere afterwards, or you can't swap between other games, what you're doing is creating a very personalized experience for a user to bring a lot of personalization into it.
Exactly. And the interoperability comes comes with the both way. So in our project in Elderon, our NFTs can be playable with different games, so interoperable games. But also we are looking for to make it able to playable on every chain. Like people should be able to play our game no matter the what chain that use. Like for example, there are lots of maxis on the ecosystem. They just don't want to leave their chain. They just want to use their chain. So,
and that's yeah. To be honest, that's the way it should be. If people want to use a particular chain, they should be able to, but they shouldn't have to worry about what protocol or network or anything that they're on. It should be seamless. And look, I think that's something that we're that's going to be quite big. We're introducing that capability through LeonX, where people don't have to worry about the chain they're on. Become chain agnostic. We're not seeking to compete with them all. We want to unite all those chains, just enable people to get to do what they want on there, rather than actually having to worry about the technical back end. Now you guys are you've started building using the LeonX self onboarding side of things, and that's something that we've been working on to enable those projects to start going cross chain. Have you had anything to do with that yet, or is that all with the other devs?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Sorry, no. So the self-onboarding documents from LeonX, so our Git book, have you started using that, or is that with the others on the team?
Yeah, I'm not actually the tech guy. I just have a little bit knowledge about it, but I will also. I am really like into it. I want to learn all the technology behind the blockchain, so I will take a look at it also. But our team started the work on your Git book.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. And I noticed we've got the guys from Red Curry here. I might jump over to them and get them to say hello and introduce themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hi everybody. Casper from Red Curry.
Hey, Casper.
We're creating. Those who don't know, we are creating real-world asset-backed currency. So our vision and mission for the world is we see it as a concurrent private currency world where it's a norm, and our mission is to facilitate this stable, reliable money and access to it globally, ending up with a value store for global users. In other words, we are issuing real estate-backed digital currency, which can be used as money. It behaves like money, but it's backed by real-world assets. In our case, commercial real estate in Europe.
And at the moment, I'm not. I don't know which one I find more exciting: getting out there and playing some games, or getting out there and backing a real-world asset. I think they both got different sides to it, and getting in there with all the RWAs and hopefully building some wealth enables you to get your time back to play those games and enjoy it. So enjoy life. I think that's what it's about. So interesting, because we've spoken to you guys, Casper, quite a few times, and we're about to, I believe, move things forward to another level, and pretty soon giving you full access to the developer side of things and the onboarding. So how are you guys looking forward to getting your hands on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are at this intersection of providing cross-chain access to our users, and working with Layer 1X is definitely upping the game here, and looking forward to that, to making Red Curry cross-chain and available around multiple ecosystems.
Excellent. Whilst we're talking to you, Casper, I might keep you on, and I'll jump back to Lucy in a minute. But just explain to us a little bit more around, so with the real world assets and things like commercial real estate or any other particular assets that you're going to tokenize. So in particular, how does the interoperability side, how is that going to potentially improve things for Red Curry?
Yeah, so I think it's going to improve Red Curry users as it would improve any other project users. Mm-hmm. As in, we're looking at it from multiple. We can look at it from multiple angles, right? So the first thing is that enhanced liquidity. So when you have interoperable assets, whether these are non-fungible or fungible assets, when they can easily be transferred and used across different ecosystems and platforms, then you open it up to higher liquidity. And higher liquidity means that you can achieve better stability as well. So you can create market depth in that, and you also get access to different communities. So right now, as we can see, all these different assets and these different projects and startups in this space, they're competing over the users, and they're competing over the attention as well. And very often they end up in these isolated ecosystems, and who is fan of one and who is fan of another. But in the real world, people really don't care about the technology. Like most people don't care. Like we engineers, we're like, yeah, we're talking about this and that, but most people care about value. Mm-hmm. And so what you guys are building, and what some other players in the industry are creating is an abstraction over this technology and the complexity. So this gives us, as the value providers, the ability to not having to explain all this complex technology to our users, but rather letting just use it, and then sitting on top of the infrastructure that, like, for example, Layer 1X is building.
Yeah. So just as a bit of a question there, when I first started out, actually I've been going for far too many decades to say that. When I first learned about NFTs, I thought they were just pictures. Obviously they're not. We all know that. But where do NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, come into a real world asset? How does that work? If you want to explain to listeners.
Sure. So I've always looked at the NFTs as when we talk NFTs, we're talking about the technology, but what it really is for me from the utility perspective is a digital twin, right? So it is either a digital twin of a title, so ownership title, or identity verification, or identification. It's a digital twin of whatever then you own or want to transact with in the real world. And when it comes to interoperability, when you start to bring these let's say digital twins into the broader or broader use cases, then different stakeholders might be hesitant to invest into these technologies, because if they don't know to be locked into some specific ecosystem or specific technology stack. So the interoperability can really help us to see mass adoption and actually let people see the real value behind them, not just pretty pictures. And so it's really very much the same what happened with email or with HTTP and HTML back in the early days of the internet, right? So yeah, I see it as a ways to transition ownership, use it as a title. So for example, tokenizing real estate, when you issue real estate titles as NFTs, this can be then used later in using as collateral. So you can remove banking from it. And we slowly start to see it in real life. In Estonia in 2021, for example, we removed the need for a physical notary. So it's already online. Now when you bring in this blockchain technology as well, you can also start to increase, you can start to create trustless systems. So you can start slowly removing this traditional financial middlemen from the whole thing. And so this, to summarize, integration with DeFi, right? They can represent ownership of valuable assets. And we see then seamless or borderless financial transactions where NFTs are traded as a collateral in a global market. So yeah. And that will in itself enhance liquidity, and we can automate compliance and governance with that. So there's so much that can happen on top of this very low-level technology in a way.
Which I think is look, that's fantastic where we're heading. Just think, you've got a shopping center and or a factory, and that factory has an NFT. Like you said, it's digital twin, and how and where you can utilize that as either collateral or probably a lot of other use cases as well. What I might do now is jump across to Moongate. They've taken had a few little hiccups trying to get up on stage, but I think they're here now, and just ask them to introduce themselves and give us a little bit of an overview of themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And apologies for some of the technical issues earlier on. So quick intro, I'm Peter, one of the co-founders of Moongate. So basically we are working on NFT-based ticketing and membership platform. So what it means is that basically we have two products. One is a ticketing product, but all the tickets are issued on-chain, mostly working with a lot of the conferences, music festivals, concerts, or even broader industries in terms of the ticketing use case. And second of all, also helping some of the brands globally right now on some of their NFT membership activations. So something very similar to what kind of, I guess, maybe Starbucks or Nike, what they're doing right now, and then helping other kind of, I guess, brands also kind of tap into the Web3 space through the membership, as bringing the membership on chain. And so far, we have worked with like hundreds of brands and events globally. Started off with a lot of the crypto kind of conferences and events, and gradually expanding towards kind of music festivals and concerts as well. So yeah, pleasure to be here.
So it's a fantastic way to remove fraudulent tickets and people getting ripped off. So it's I think what you're building there is going to have a fantastic use case, and not just across things like concerts, but literally anywhere, any event, any type of use, which is brilliant. So what I might now do, I'll jump back over to Lucy at Diga, and just to maybe gain an understanding how, so really around those NFTs, being able to use those cross-chain, maybe just elaborate a little bit more on that, and then we'll come back to the other guys on the same.
Sorry, couldn't get the questions. I think
Sure, no problem.
Connection problem.
Yeah, no, that's okay. If you could explain a little bit more about the transferability of those NFTs. So how does that work? So you've got a skin in a game that you own. That's your NFT. What can you do with it after that? So you might play it in the game, but selling it or doing something. How does that work across chain?
Like how can it work with the cross chain? Like let's say you own an NFT in one particular chain. Let's say it's on Avalanche. If we have a cross chain ability, like if we can able to sell this NFT through the Ethereum chain, it would create a really huge impact in the NFT space, because there will be lots of different options, not just with the one chain.
Yeah. So then effectively, you could sell it on another chain, but you can also put it up for sale on multiple marketplaces at the same time. So that brings a huge benefit there, I think. So what I might do, I'll jump across to back across to Casper and Red Curry, and just get a little bit of an understanding about those. So obviously NFTs in a different space. How that would work in Red Curry? Are they transactable? Give us a little bit of a view.
Yeah, sure. So actually, we are not currently using NFT technology directly, as in a traditional, what you would look like ERC 721 standard or something like that, because we are not tokenizing real estate. We own real estate, and that is used fully as a collateral to the Red Curry token. So more traditional, a fungible token of Red Curry. But what we do is that we represent the collateral as it's not pure NFT with somewhere between 721 with some and it's a mixed bag in terms of like specific standards we use. But the point is that we represent the assets that our foundation owns, that is then the collateral, on chain. But we don't do it because we want them to be transacted with. We do it because we want to show transparency. So then for us, it's a method to maintain data on chain. And so everybody can see the assets that are backing Red Curry, and they can see the history of these assets. So we maintain the value of those assets, but we also can see the change in value over time.
Yeah.
And they're all represented as NFTs. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're effectively like a bearer bond. So you've got that. In the old world, they had the piece of paper or card that was the bearer bond itself. And by utilizing NFTs, you've achieved the same concept, and obviously made it a lot more secure.
Yeah, correct, and mostly transparent, right? So we have our own explorer where you can directly see the collateral that is backing the Red Curry currency. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I'll jump back across to Moongate, and maybe the same sort of question there about interoperability and how that's impacted and improved the accessibility, and how introducing true interoperability would make a difference for you.
Yeah, 100%. I think interoperability is definitely one of the most, important topic in the space, and also why NFT would also make sense in terms of the ticketing and membership use case. Because I think after all, having the tickets on chain, obviously there are a lot of different type of benefits. It can be, solving the ticket fraud issues, but more importantly, I think also actually opening a lot of use case for what the ticket can be used. I think traditionally a lot of the tickets, usually just kind of go into the event and then that's it. Basically, there aren't a lot of utilities within it. Brands, event organizers are not able to kind of leverage tickets to do, further things, maybe engaging with the audience afterwards, or really just adding more elements into the tickets. But I think right now with the tickets on chain, with it being in the form of NFTs, having interoperability point, actually adding a lot of the utility on top of it. And with that, what it means is that, since now you can actually easily transfer NFTs across maybe different blockchains, or having it to apply to different use cases across different ecosystem, instead of just kind of, stay within a certain chain. Right now, it actually helps with certain things. First of all, probably increase kind of the ecosystem, audiences, and also the users, and also wider kind of people, mainly because right now, maybe you are used to kind of using a certain, chain A, but then right now you got the tickets on maybe chain B. You can still able to kind of maybe, trade it on other marketplaces that are supporting on other chains, or really just maybe lending to some other people in terms of the further use cases, or even like joining DAOs or voting or whatever. I think having the interoperability of NFTs with tickets, it actually opens up a lot of the more use case, and the utility play is very important. I think one quick example for us is recently we are working with Favor, one of the, I guess, top show protocol on Lens protocol. And basically the tickets that we issued, they would be able to kind of also earn points and also get some credentials on the Favor app. And obviously right now Favor is mostly supporting kind of Polygon, and for us we actually multi-chain and support multiple EVM chain right now. So I think what it means is that maybe in the future, with, I guess, a stronger or easier or even a better interoperability infrastructure, is really beneficial for different users on our applications to really extend the use case of the NFTs with regards to, regardless of what chain the NFTs are issued on. Happy to share more later on, but I think in terms of the engagement, the utility play, there's way more can be opened up with this interoperability infrastructure being even more efficient and mature in the long run.
Thank you. That was a thoroughly enjoyable update there. Now, so far tonight, just to sort of summarize a little bit so far, we've heard about NFTs on the gaming side. It could be a skin or an image or a weapon or something. And then we've gone across to see that an NFT could also be a digital twin for an investment property or a physical real world asset. And then we've also heard that it's a ticket. Maybe that confuses a few people, but for me, it just opens up the versatility of NFTs in the world, and how we're only just starting to uncover the real use cases out there. I also noticed we've got Kakundi online. I think he's from Juju. Haven't spoken yet, but welcome. If you want to jump up, unmute your mic and say hi.
Looks like they might be having issues with their mic,
Maybe.
I guess.
You might be on now. Hang on.
Yeah. You can jump off the stage and then jump
I
back
think
on.
he might be there.
Maybe that will be good. Okay.
I did hear something.
Yeah, actually,
lost him.
Twitter, Space has got some weird bug. When you first jump into Space, it might cause this problem. If he's go off and on tech again,
he'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, all right. In the meantime, what we'll do is I'll move on, and then we'll come back to the Juju guys shortly. So maybe jump across to Casper again. Maybe if you can just let us know how that, just going through a little bit more in specifics around how interoperability enhances the value proposition of NFTs. So we've heard about what NFTs are, all sorts of different possibilities. It's a ticket. It's a representation of an asset. It's covering off a gaming component, whether it's a skin or something else. But how does that enhance the value proposition, for example, for you, Casper?
Yeah, sure. So we'll start with the digital ownership part. So with interoperability, the concept of ownership can I believe expand, from just a piece of art to all the way to encompassing a broad range of assets, so including real estate, or it can be intellectual property, or even identities. So you can imagine if you have a real world asset, you want that to be only on one chain, and in another blockchain it would be nobody would understand what it is, or it wouldn't represent anything. So So would need interoperability there that would open up this broad ownership, which leads us to the next thing, which is enhanced liquidity. And I touched up that previously as well a little bit. But I think when NFTs become more liquid, they become more liquid when they can be easily transferred across platforms, right? So it's crucial to establishing NFTs as digital assets. And you cannot do that without being open to do cross-platform transactions. And then that brings us to the third point, is that it's a broader market participation, right? So you can see NFT creators and collectors access more extensive marketplaces, and that also feeds back into the liquidity pool and ability to reach a much wider audience. And also then, if you have a wider audience, you start playing around with the prices. So I think it has an immense implication, especially in the accessibility and the transferability. Just to name few points on that part.
No, thank you. I appreciate that there, Casper. So over to Lucy, to maybe that the same question, but from a different view from the gaming world, how the NFTs address the issue of enhances the value proposition across the gaming world with that cross-platform usage.
Yeah, sure. When you look up from the gaming world to the NFTs, like it gives you the ownership of your assets, like and you can earn your achievement, on your process in the game with the NFTs. And with interoperability gives the players like to be accessible to be more. Interoperability gives the game to be accessible through the chains, and also gives you the ability to compete with them, with each other across different chains, like Solana versus AVAX. You can create these kind of competitions with the interoperability of the NFTs.
No, thank you. Appreciate that there, Lucy. And look, we'll jump across to Moongate to see how that the interoperability enhances the value proposition for some of your, I guess I'll call them projects or your user base.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to the interoperability kind of value add in terms of to our kind of current project and also user base, I think right now maybe I will kind of bring a more specific use case or kind of the future that we kind of envision that's going to be if we are able to kind of bring tickets on chain. So for instance, right now, I think in terms of I think one of the core thesis that we have is really using NFT to strengthen up the user engagement and brand engagement between the brands and also the end users. I think right now it's really hard for brands to kind of communicate with the end users. It's always kind of like a one-way communication, and they aren't able to kind of locate their core fans per se. What it means is that right now a lot of the fans right now, for instance, if you are for your favorite singers or kind of for your favorite artists, they actually don't know you are their kind of core fans because all your data is kind of distributed across all the different kind of channels. And what we think is that in the future, obviously, maybe in the music industry use case per se, obviously their tickets can be issued on chain. They can issue through us, and with that on maybe the concert use cases, these artists can know that hey, these kind of fans, they always go to my concert. And despite of they use our platform or other kind of blockchain platform, they can still able to kind of identify these people mainly because they're still maybe using the same wallets. Which means that they can kind of identify their Web3 identity as well. But what it means in a broader scale is that not really just on the ticket piece, but also maybe on say some of the streaming platform. Maybe if there's like a Web3 Spotify or even Spotify adding like NFTs, and they will be able to kind of issue NFT to people who are their kind of core fans, maybe the top 0.1 listeners per se, or even some of the merchandise store, maybe Shopify, they can issue or identify kind of their core fans. for those who have always kind of bought their asset on Shopify. I think right now, since all these kind of applications are silo, it's really hard to locate these core fans, with these kind of database kind of, I guess, spread across different silo system. But I think with blockchain right now, obviously, you're able to kind of identify these people based on their on-chain kind of activities, based on the NFTs that they own. And I think consequently, it's easier for them to just reward these people, maybe having like a super fan community, token gated content, and the possibilities I think is infinite. And with this, I think the interoperability point is really important because I'm very certain that all these different kind of applications are going to be building on different chains. And also at the same time, you would also need to kind of maybe bring your NFTs maybe on a ticket piece. And right now, if you own a certain ticket, you'll be eligible to go into a certain community. And with so many chains with different kind of, pros and cons, all the different kind of applications are going to be building on different chains to leverage kind of their kind of strength. And what it also translates is that, it's inevitable as more apps are developed in different ecosystem, we will have to bring kind of the tokens or NFTs across different chains to leverage the utilities. And that's where I think, in the long run, as more kind of, I guess, different chains ecosystem are mature and also even more developed, we will also need kind of the interoperability infra even more developed to kind of, I guess, cater to, I guess, the broader use case that I probably mentioned earlier on.
No, thank you. And I think that's something that we're actually bringing to the table. And given the capabilities that Layer 1X has developed, being able to go cross-chain without a bridge, without having to include third parties in there, it really introduces the true nature of blockchain, which is transactions that are direct from one party to another. Intended destination, that you're not having to use that third party in between. Interestingly, you're also speaking about the value proposition around it. If I look at it this way, around concerts, let's say I go online and I order something from a Web2 company, and I won't use Amazon's name, but let's just what the hell. I then start getting bombarded after I've purchased a product for here's a special on that product later on. But hang on, I've already just bought it. So really, these Web2 companies aren't really getting it right, and I think that's where Web3 will come to its fore in being able to actually provide the data across. So let's just say you're a recording star. You want to know who your fan base is, but you might also want to reference some other fans that like that style of music. Maybe they did a duet with somebody, and you can then start linking all those communities together. But people can actually opt in to what they want to receive via their things like their space cards that we've introduced. I think that's where it starts introducing massive capability. And when you start being able to go cross-chain with those, you can actually start accessing a wider audience and people that you've never been in front of before. Those artists have never been in front of before. So might jump across to jump back over to Lucy. So within the NFT space, do you feel that interoperability can address the fragmentation that occurs in blockchain or across in NFTs? And do you think that'll allow for broader adoption of those digital assets?
Yes, indeed. Especially for the gaming world, it could be. I believe it's best for broader adoption, because like when in the Web2 world, you just purchase the game, play the game, and it's done. You can't do anything with it after you play and enjoy the game. But in Web3 space with the NFTs, it gives you the ownership of your characters, of your achievements, basically, as I mentioned before. So also the utilities on that NFTs, like you can give lots of utilities to NFTs to impact their in-game achievements or in-game assets. So yeah,
and I can actually start. I can actually start seeing a similarity there, where you could have things like a concert or a movie ticket or something, or an NFT for a particular game that's being sold out there. But then you want to be able to on-sell that, so it becomes a form of a real-world asset. You start seeing some of these things merging together. Whether it will, or maybe it'll take time, but I can start seeing some big concepts and possibilities coming.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So across to Casper, maybe you give us a little bit of a view on if you see that the interoperability side addresses the issue of fragmentation in the cross-chain space for NFTs. And do you think it'll have a benefit for the broader adoption?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, right now, issuing NFTs is easy and quite cheap. And this has flooded the market with low-value NFTs to outright scams. We all know that. It's almost a controversial topic at some parts of the... even inside crypto, like some people still think NFTs are questionable in terms of value, because I think because of fragmentation, right? So there is just so many different projects out there, so many different blockchains, and it's become this huge noise where it's very hard to get to the signal. And I think the amount of blockchains, the amount of different standards that are being used, together with the amount of different NFT projects that are being issued, it has kind of added to confusion, especially from people coming from outside. The thing is that most people don't really care about the technology; they care about the value, right? So it's perceived as this world that most don't understand, and so there's a lot of negativity around it. Where I think when fragmentation is addressed, that can introduce clarity, right? And clarity is needed for the general public to gain trust in it and confidence in the value, right? So that need to kind of fight uphill battle, convincing the general public that what you're doing is really valuable, so that it doesn't have this bad reputation. And this applies to both fungible or non-fungible technologies, I think. But you were saying.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely spot on, because when people start seeing, you're not just buying an NFT and it's a monkey, I don't get that, but some people obviously do. But if it becomes that, hang on, an NFT is actually my representation, it's a secure representation of my physical asset that I own a part of, which could be a shopping centre, it could be an industrial building of any sort, or it could also be the ticket to the concert I'm going to next weekend. Once they start seeing those sort of things come in, or it's in the game, people will start building trust that it's not just they're starting to see those actual, not just real world assets, but the real world use cases. I think that's where it starts coming into its own. So,
and it kind of uncovers a lot of the things that even today is very hard to imagine, right? So like email used to work only between very specific networks, and there were like many email systems. So if you took somebody from outside, they were like, what is this email? Okay, two computers can talk to each other, but how does that change the world? But when when these specific standards or protocols were created, like SMTP, POP, or IMAP, we don't talk about these today, but they run the world, right? So, and they opened up so many different use cases and people don't even know these standards. So I think that's very important to solve the fragmentation first, so that the real value can be built on top of it.
Yep. And look, I'm old, so and this is just a self-admission here. I've been around since before email, and working on military systems that utilised communication or mail equivalence messaging, and to see it have evolved over the years has been good, but there's been absolutely a stagnation over the last 10, 20 years of it, where technology such as blockchain can actually start authenticating emails, using NFTs to identify individuals, profile cards, all those sort of things need to come in where they're actually shareable. So you might create a profile at the bottom of your email. Yeah, great, that's nice. People know who you are. But how do you verify who you are? And that's where those NFTs and being able to interoperate between them comes into it. So it really goes everything from authenticating somebody from an email authenticating your ownership of a physical asset, of a game, skin, or your tickets. I think it's really opening up the world to the possibilities of what it can be. It's not just a picture of a monkey anymore.
Yeah, or credit scoring for wallets, for example, or identity attached from wallets. Right now identities are wallets, but this is not the right way to go, or you can't scale this, right? So you need something else. You need identity and wallet detached from each other, and then also wallets and identities to have credit scores, and this will all be done on top of the NFT underlying technology.
Yeah, absolutely. So I might move on now to just talk a little bit more about marketplaces and the platforms associated with those. People have their fans. They might like Blur.io or Magic Eden or OpenSea or whatever they might like, or something else that's coming up. But how do you think the interoperability will influence that across those marketplaces? And does that create any implications for creators and collectors? Maybe I'll throw that one over to Lucy first.
Yeah, sure. Well, of course, those markets are like providing services from different chains, but being able to interoperable with those assets create huge impact to artists like creators as well, because they will also get benefit from the broader audience across the different chains networks.
So on Eldarin, for example, you could have players on there that have a really an artistic bent and design skins associated with or a special weapon or something, and they can then put that out for sale on all sorts of marketplaces at the same time. So it doesn't really matter where people are, their audience.
Yes, sure, exactly. Yeah.
And I'll jump across to the Moongate guys about how you see that. So really around the NFT marketplaces and their platforms, and how that interoperability will come to play for you guys. How will that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously for one of the main perks or benefits to put tickets on chain is going to be the liquidity and also the trading part of NFT per se. So for instance, right now, I think obviously one of the key problems or thesis that we want to solve is the ticket fraud issue. And with tickets putting on chain, it's really easy and very transparent for you to check whether that ticket is real or not. And obviously for I guess event organizers, you can also kind of keep track on who have been the ticket owner before, and what's kind of the history of the transaction. And I think obviously one of the key part here is going to be the liquidity, and marketplace is going to be the key element in helping this whole kind of value chain to finish. So what it means is that I think we're really kind of right now we would kind of rely on external marketplaces for people to kind of trade or I guess buy and sell the NFTs or tickets. And in the future, we also have plans to build out our own marketplace, really just catering to the ticketing use case. And hopefully when people are kind of doing the secondary trading or kind of buy and sell, they would not suffer from ticket fraud anymore. And I think one very important point here is going to be also the interoperability point that you mentioned, because I think we are not aiming to just cater to tickets that are issued on our platform. What it means is that obviously our marketplace is going to support the chains that we issued, but I think in the future we also want to make it a very open ecosystem, and any tickets that are issued on chain by other kind of dApps will be able to kind of trade on a marketplace or even other marketplace as well. And I think having the ability to kind of bring asset across chains to to the marketplace to trade, I think that's going to be a very important value add to all the end users in the market. The main reason is that I think is, first of all, it may not be very cost effective or even possible for a certain marketplace to integrate all the chains in the market. But at the same time, I think all of most of the ecosystem, they will probably have their own native kind of NFT ticketing app in the long run. And so I think in I guess midterm, maybe like 3 to 5 years, when to finish up the tradability of tickets across different ecosystem, having a marketplace and able to support the interoperability of kind of tickets would be very essential as well.
So you've touched on a bit of the future state. So I'm just going to focus on that a little bit now. Is if you see any particular potential use cases or innovations that are coming up, are you guys looking at anything in particular from the Moongate side around, what potential use cases do you see in the future?
You mean for the NFT tickets?
Yeah, just that side at the moment, yeah. Or anything else that you guys might be working on, even. It doesn't necessarily have to be tickets.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I think for us, we focus a lot on kind of actually on a broader perspective, like how to kind of use NFT in real life, and more on, that's why I think apart from ticketing, a membership is also one of the key, I guess, use case that we see, because I think a lot of the brands right now, they are very disconnected with their end users. And NFT is actually a great way for them to kind of build their communities, having kind of token-gated content, token-gated community, and really able to kind of maybe verify the NFT ownerships in real life in exchange for some of their in real life perks or benefits. Because I think a lot of the traditional brands right now, they are trying to kind of connect the Web3 space into their existing business, which obviously going to be a lot of it is going to be, having real stores or offline interactions or whatnot. And how to kind of really bring these offline is also one of the key questions that we're trying to drive. And very similar to ticketing, because it's also kind of using tickets in real life use cases. That's also something that we focus a lot. And, we are actually expanding towards the membership piece, because I think it's actually having a lot of synergies with our ticketing product. Because after all, we think that, having NFTs as the form of, tickets is, in a sense, it's like a membership for the event organizers. They can kind of engage with the attendees, with the audiences. They can build a community around it. And I can tell and also see that the interoperability point is going to be very essential, not only now, but also in the future, as there are more and more, I guess, apps working on similar use case, and also adding kind of the utility into the tickets or memberships that we launch for all these kind of brands.
And look, there's one area I've got to say that you've got to promise me that you don't touch, that you don't go near, and you don't put onto blockchain, and that is parking tickets or speeding tickets. Okay, you've got to agree to not do that. Okay, that's just
I mean, it's going to affect your on-chain price.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's a negative. Yeah, definitely. That was probably one of the challenges I see coming up in the whole thing. And maybe I'll jump across to DGuard now. And let's just also hope that parking tickets and speeding tickets don't come in. But where do you see the future heading for DGuard around the NFTs and that interoperability?
Well, actually, the possibilities are endless. Of course, with the technology of NFTs and interoperabilities, it will let everybody from the both project and the gamers, like the user size, it will create a huge impact and broader audience because of the accessibility at first.
And I think maybe when you look at some of the games that are out there today, some of the bigger ones, like there's certain games out there that have got music soundtracks done by artists, and it could be in the future that the NFTs from some of the music or something else on chain could actually help marketing on the ticketing side for that particular artist. So you can start seeing some synergies there between the products, not just the gaming world, but the ticketing side as well. So what I might do is I'll jump across to Casper and see if you've got any potential use cases that you guys see or that you're working on in the NFT space and the interoperability as well.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I'll have a more broader view here. To briefly maybe cover on the more concrete platform related values. your previous question as well, a little bit touched on that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the question of governance as well. So
Yes.
when we talk about these different platforms, then if we ensure that the NFTs can move between those platforms, then we can really we don't always have to compromise on the integrity of the assets, when it comes to security or IP rights. Also reduce the dependencies on any single platform right today, so we know which platforms are the kind of the market leaders, but you are almost vendor locked to some of them. So this can in turn protect against censorship or platform failure or changes in service terms. It's when you have interoperability, so you can protect the creators and collectors to maintain control over their assets, really. But on a broader view, we are looking at a future where real estate or some other high-value assets are tokenized into NFTs, or they're kryptonized. So what I mean by that is they're used as collateral to issue stable currencies. So a world where we see assets becoming more liquid and accessible to a broader audience, right? And this, what it does, it democratizes access to store of value and assets and investment opportunities. So it allows more people to own either fractional parts of assets or operate in a concurrent currency world, so where the nations don't have a monopoly over currencies. And competition, as we know, is good. So competition creates better value, better products. That can also create a barter system. The world used to run on that for a long time. But nothing says that this cannot come back with the technologies we see today. So all in all, such a system would lower entry barriers for investments. So you would have to deal with less middlemen, more efficiencies and dynamic markets, which in turn means higher engagement from people. So maybe to summarize how I see this is that, storing value and exchanging value should be just as democratized as information is today. Internet came and democratized information access, and I see that NFTs and these DeFi technologies are doing the same for value exchange. It's quite a high level view, but that's how I see.
I think that's brilliant, Casper, because I think you've actually hit the nail on the head about where this can go, and that's actually something that really excites me. Being able to store wealth, not in some form of depreciating asset, and by that I mean if you look out there at the moment about what people consider as an asset, let's just say US dollar, okay, or any other currency around the world, they are depreciating assets. Inflation takes its toll. Every year it's worth less and less. Now, being able to transfer that across to an appreciating asset is absolutely huge. That's where we really start to create a real economy. You look around at the governments and how they behave with all the their own currencies in their own country, and how they can devalue in others and cause all sorts of problems. Whereas if those assets are held in a secure form, a physical form that we know has value, we're really turning the tables back where currency used to be a representation of a physical asset, gold, to turn it back around into property, into something physical, a mine or a building or anything really. I think that's actually starting to make it a very, very important capability. And what does that let us do? That lets us actually not be drawn into those big corporations and how they pillage us for with their fees and everything. And that will let us go and buy those tickets. It'll let us play the games. It'll let us do all those things that we want to do with our lives instead of handing all that money over, even unwittingly, to these big corporates. So, look, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. I think we've just gone slightly over time tonight, but hopefully that gives people a bit of an insight into the diverse range of capabilities. And I think probably one of the biggest things coming up for me is that we've onboarded a few projects in Layer 1X, but we're now introducing our self-onboarding developer documentation that will enable those projects to start building on-chain, to be able to go cross-chain with transactions, whether it's crypto, NFTs, logic, anything. So I might pass back to Sam now, but I would like to thank everybody very much for being on tonight. Some great conversations.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was absolutely a great one. I hope you guys learned a lot from this one. Just a reminder that we have these X Talk series going every week where we discuss interesting topics like interoperability, NFT, tokenomics, stuff like that. So make sure you tune into that. And just the last reminder, drop in the Discord if you haven't jumped in yet. We have interesting things going on there. And a big thanks to everyone for showing up. Big thanks to our audience. Big thanks to our speakers as well. See you all in the next episode of X Talks.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Sam. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.